And yes, the sound checks have been breathtaking. Cannot wait for that. But now we're back in the kitchen and we're going to take a meat-free turn. And normally when you do that, you feel like you've got to sacrifice the enjoyment of the meal, but not in this case. If you like hearty meals that are full of flavor, then this Tuscan-style butter bean dish is going to hit the spot. And then some, with a luxurious combination of butter beans, obviously, our garlic, our fresh herbs, all simmered in a rich, creamy sauce. It is a satisfying dish that takes all of about 15 minutes to prepare. So the fastest man on sand is going to be the fastest man on our studio floor. Thank you so much.
Make sure it's fresh. Make sure we're all ready for the health buzz.
And this is a great way to approach a meat-free Monday. I know we're always trying to push the boat out, and often we feel like we're kind of sacrificing on the comfort food, sacrificing on the enjoyment if we go meat-free. We kind of put it in its own box, and I don't want that to be the case. So we're whipping up something that literally will take about 15 minutes, and that's doing it low and slow.
Ooh,
so it ticks just about every box. So we've got our oil, not too hot, a little bit of onion going in there as well.
Bro, some really
spatula there.
Really good smells coming out of this. This is, I know you mentioned that word hearty a few times, and I'm not going to oversell it here because this is already smelling hearty, it's smelling warm, it's smelling like it's something that can really be perfect for the occasion, whether it's supper, good conversation, or diving into some memories. This is it,
completely, man. I love it. And it ticks a lot of the flavor boxes as well when it comes to the low and slow space. A bit of heat, nice balance, creaminess. So in there, we've got our mixed herbs, we've got some smoked paprika, and we've got some garlic powder.
Ooh, nice.
Garlic powder is the win. You don't understand. It really is. Onion powder, garlic powder. You keep those two in, you will need very little else. You often don't even need stock.
Absolutely. And what I've realized of late, obviously you're constantly toying with different recipes. You can often, if you're using fresh garlic, sometimes burn it or char it.
Yeah.
And it can literally change the entire complex of flavors for your meal. So the powder almost prevents that accident from happening sometimes if the pan's too hot.
Well, it's got one of the highest sugar contents, just like an onion, believe it or not. Why it cooks and has such a flavor development, it's because of the sugars in it, and the garlic has a very high sugar. So we often make the mistake of frying off the garlic first, and it kind of gets cooked the longest out of everything in there.
Lose all that goodness.
But you obviously want it in the flavor of the oil. So I think then approaching it from a lower heat gives you a bit more out of it, which I think is brilliant.
Makes absolute sense. What do you want next, bro?
I'm undecided. So we've got our beautiful cherry tomatoes here. Unchopped, okay?
I see, so there's a reason behind that?
Yeah, and quite overtly so. Well, you know me, I reverse engineer everything, so I'm going to say, yes, there is a reason, Ryle.
There's always a reason.
I like the idea of having these beautiful pockets of that tomatoey flavor. I love those. Cherry tomato's got its own kind of beautiful flavor lane in the tomato world, I reckon.
I also think
I like that, man.
If you do it well enough, and like you said, if this is really low and slow, then what those cherry tomatoes can actually do is obviously they soften up, the cellular wall breaks down, and then it's able to actually absorb some of that flavor inside its shell. So when you're talking about mushy goodness, that's what it's about. I love the fact that, yes, there's a reason, and that's exactly it. Just like creating pockets of flavor.
And believe it or not, they didn't actually give us a reason. This is both of us kind of musing, but no, I love it. I like the idea, and yes, you're going to get a little pop probably of one of these guys, and that's going to add some drama to your meal as well.
I'd say careful when you bite into that one because it will retain a lot of heat.
From past experience.
The pop is true.
Then a little bit of baby spinach going in there. I think baby spinach, again, has its own flavor lane in the spinach world. It's got a freshness to it, obviously packs a punch from a nutrients perspective, but I just love its flavor, texture. For me, it kind of stands up.
I never really thought about it much. I just thought it's like, oh, you got to add greens to your meal, but it really does actually change the flavor. You're 100% right. It gives a beautiful balance. It gives you that, like, I wouldn't say earthiness, but
like an ironness to it. It sounds
a fresh ironness. Yeah, you're right, man. You're hitting it on the head.
I'm going to ask you now to pass me the stock. I'm going to put the beans in last, and I'll tell you why. Seeing as we are talking about things going mushy.
That's weird to me because you love reverse engineering, like you said, and I would have thought that the beans should have gone in first to kind of be like the tomatoes and absorb some of that flavor. But again, I know there's always a reason when
I'm heavy-handed, man. I'm just too heavy-handed. I break everything, including my butter beans. Now we can put our beans in there. They are quite delicate. And I mean, to be honest, you could eat them raw. So you know, you don't have to worry too much about the cooking. It's more about the textural element.
I suppose that makes sense, yeah.
And you don't, if you're going to be mixing it around too much, you can check. Even those have gotten kind of mashed up just a little bit. And
that's
if you've been
favorite.
watching, I know, that's where half of the goodness is. Just a gentle stir in. And you might have picked that up if you've been watching Colour your plate with Koo, how just a simple, humble kitchen staple like this can be elevated, but you've got to still treat it with care and love, man.
It's making sense now to me why you actually added this last, because like you said, obviously, I'm coming from a world where you can eat these out of the can, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
You can actually like go travel
on the mountain, you eat it out of the can.
And it is good. You just add in a little bit of like spice or something to it. It's got all the nutritional boxes ticked. I mean, we're talking about great protein here. It's a good source of carbs too. So really good stuff coming from the fact that it's just coming out of a can. But now that you're adding it to the meal, it makes sense, because a lot of the time you prepare this beforehand and it takes a lot of time to do that. But this is ready to go. So it's just literally about finishing, diving in, absorbing the last bits of all that goodness, and it's going to be perfect every time.
And it's got a great textural feel there. From a meat-free perspective. I think why we love the legumes so much is the mouthfeel. There's something going on there that just feels a step above a veg.
It fills you up. It gives you that real sense of like satiety. And that's something a lot of people are looking for in their meals. They want to eat meals that are good for them, but doesn't leave them hungry after.
Completely.
And especially things that are high in sugar, it gives you that spike, it gives you that insulin sort of peak, and then you're just left looking for more.
Yeah, crashing. Left crashing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so this is coming through on another level.
Looks beautiful, and then of course you finish it off with some fresh herbs, and then you've got your exploding little pockets of tomato. But look how nice it looks with the whole tomatoes in it. So that for me is a selling point on its own. Should we have a little taste?
Yeah, I don't mind, bro. Can I? Are we grabbing the one in the pot or the one that's ready made?
Here we go. Let's tuck into this. Tiff and the team have done it.
Should we try the tomato bite?
Yes,
Careful, bro.
I think we kind of have to.
Okay, please don't be too hot that I scorch my mouth. Yeah, I'm going to put that down. I'm a little bit scared. I'm very hot. Bro, it's so good.
Definitely keep the potatoes whole, and you're absolutely right, because
you tasting the flavor inside of it?
Your whole nonsense about the cell wall breaking down all that was actually absolutely true. That is delicious.
Oh my goodness,
the creaminess.
This is real? Oh, I'm going to take the plate, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's ticking every box for breakfast, lunch, or supper. For a meat-free Monday, most certainly, if you want to cook along with us, expressoshow.com. It's where you can find all of our recipes. Absolutely amazing. Wow. And then, of course, if you want to be inspired to cook just a little bit better than we can, here is a sneak peek at what you can catch on Colour Your Plate with Koo tomorrow. Ooh, that is